little statement.
There's still a couple of folks coming.
Okay, where are they?
They're right there on the
Oh, I see. Okay.
So,
Wait a second. I didn't get caught in the rain coming down here, but I just as soon not get caught in it standing
I
out here.
agree.
Particularly not around the power lines.
Right.
Good point.
Especially the light.
Yes.
Especially the light.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Well, since I'm not usually a hearing officer, I had someone write me up a script. Welcome to the Public Utility Commission site visit in case number 19-0516-PET. I've been appointed by the Commission as a hearing officer in this case. I am the chair of the Public Utility Commission, Anthony Royceman. The purpose of this visit is to assist me and the parties in understanding the proposed project and the issues that the proposed project may present. Observations and facts from the site visit are not considered as evidence unless the Commission on its own motion or on the request of a party specifically enters them into the evidentiary record. There's no transcript of this. Nothing that's said here is evidence that I would rely on a hearing officer. Members of the public are welcome to ask the petitioner questions about the project. However, please be respectful and save any comments on the merits of the project for tonight's public hearing. The goal here is just to make sure that I and anyone else who wishes understands the context. Where is this going to go? Looking at different points of view to see the site to the extent that people want to know, oh, so you could see it from there, but you can't see it from here. But that comment, you can or can't see it from one point or another, that should not be made. We're just here to observe and listen to explanations about what's going to happen. I want to remind people that we are all subject to the Commission's rule on ex parte communications, which means not talking to me or to Dave, who is our electrical engineer, but is also a hearing officer, and may, if they become electrical engineering issues, sit with me at any evidentiary hearing, ask questions just as I might do. Don't have discussions with Dave or myself about the case unless everybody is present when you have that discussion. At this point, the parties to this case include only the Department of Public Service, the Agency of Natural Resources. There's been a settlement reached between the Agency of Agricultural and Farm, Markets, thank you. And so they won't formally be a party, but there will be a stipulation entered into the record that represents what they have agreed to with the applicant. I ask that all participants refrain from using the site visit as an opportunity to debate the merits of this case. You'll have plenty of opportunity to do that, particularly since right now it looks pretty clear, but I don't think anyone wants to stand out here debating it in deluge. This is an opportunity for me to observe the project site and the surrounding area that'll help me have context when witnesses talk about something and say this or that, and I'll say, I can remember seeing that. That's it. So I'm inclined, unless someone objects, to ask the applicant to start off by just identifying for us where the project is going to be located and some idea of its dimension in that location.
Yeah, the host site is located on the south side of the transmission corridor. Looking,
Or not knowing north from south.
yeah, okay, well, this is north.
Left or right.
Yeah, in this general location on the other side of this tree line, there's really no easy way to get down there. The vegetation is really thick. There's a trail that leads down, kind of winds around, but once you get into that tree line, it's pretty difficult to get through.
So where does it start? What would be the north east corner? Looking here.
Yeah.
No.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
We are standing right here underneath the transmission line. So the project location is down on this part of the parcel.
Okay, and this is not included,
That's right.
even though it's
So that's that way. The project is going to be located down.
Okay. And show me again.
Where you're standing is right here.
Okay. So the project starts not in this area.
Yep, if you flip it over, well here, I'll show you. So this is the project here.
Okay, so it's a triangle, let's say.
Yep. And you can't see the public house here.
Right.
Can you show us all right there? So,
Yep, you're standing here, and the project is located on this portion of the industrial zone property. So there will be is it a 100-foot buffer, Mike?
100-foot buffer to the east.
Yeah. So the buffer, which is again, we're standing over here, there's a buffer of 100 feet that we're going to leave untouched of vegetation, which will screen the project from any view sheds from the public house or the motel.
So what
Motel is that way.
So what we see is what will be there. It's not something new's being proposed
Right.
to be built there. Okay, and this other part of this black area, is that a project that is already being built, or is that just what the
No,
dimension of the land?
project that's being built is over here.
I see, okay.
Yeah.
So it's on the other side. Is that what
Yeah.
we're hearing now?
Yep.
Is okay. And then looking down, in terms of just using the poles as a reference point, does the site go down to the second pole down, or stop somewhere between the first pole and the second pole?
Well, is this the second pole right here? Just right there?
Yeah, they don't show up very well, but
We'll wait.
so this pole here is, I believe, that.
That's this one right here.
Yeah.
So the next one will be that one.
just to be clear, this pole right here is which one?
It's difficult to see on here. I think it's right there.
Okay, so that takes a left and towards the public house area from this way
Yeah.
at this point.
So it's going like that.
Yeah.
How many feet down past that pole do you think that might be?
And do we have dimensions on here?
Can you see the ledge outcrop between the two poles? You know, the boundaries between
yes.
the two poles, but if you see about 2/3 from this pole toward the other pole, you see some ledge outcrop.
Yeah.
You come this way, maybe 50 or 75 yards, and go to the left. That's where the project starts.
Okay.
Okay. Now, from the construction that we're seeing, you said that's on the other side of the railroad tracks.
Yes.
So is this the portion that was being worked on the closest? Is that this edge on the other edge of the
Yeah, it would be right about
the other edge of the railroad tracks?
Yeah.
Gonna sort of-
It extends around.
So
There's a big wetland down here that we're not.
This is a race.
So your project starts this end of the
That's right.
railroad tracks, but you can see it comes this way.
Right, and I see on here that there's also some buffering here.
That's
This
correct.
is not exactly where is. I'm just having a hard time. This is not.
It would be between the transmission lines and the project. So it would be south of the transmission line corridor.
Okay, and how close does the project come to the power line right of way? Does it come into it or up to it or short of it?
It comes, well, the buffer would be right up to the edge of the right of way, but these transmission lines, if you can see, they're offset from the edge.
Right.
So there is a pretty, well, there's some vegetation you can see within the right of way.
Mm-hmm.
And then the additional vegetation, 25 feet on the other side of the right of way, will be maintained.
Okay.
So this is your buffer zone, blue.
Let's see, there are two things of blue, and I was asking about the second one, about that one there. to understand where that is. And that's right there, right? This is the power line.
That's right.
Yeah, okay.
Yep.
And can you point out where is the railroad line? Is it all the way down there?
Yes.
Where the vegetation stops and we start seeing some
That's
clearing?
correct. Yes. Yep. I mean, you can't physically see the railroad, but it's right about where the clearing is starting.
Right, so I'm having trouble understanding how this is so close to the railroad. I guess I'm not understanding the configuration.
This is coming from here, coming down and going into the woods this way.
Yeah, it kind of.
You want to turn this way.
Yep.
So you're looking down here at the railroad. The project is all.
I see, okay.
This is how we're standing right now. And this
Okay.
is this corridor.
Right, okay,
Yeah. So the railroad comes in at an angle off the road.
right, and not perpendicular to anything.
Right.
Why not? Incidentally, is that a used rail line?
It's active, but it's not very much, is it?
Yeah,
Is it just storage?
And will you be using that to bring material into the site when you're doing, or you're just gonna
No.
come in on? And where will you come in? From down there, those roads, or will you have a road from up here?
We'll be coming in off of Rice Lane, so you can see the access road. We'll come down through and over the transmission line corridor. And then there will be a distribution, an AC circuit that'll run out to a small little equipment pad out by the road.
And is that where a new road was looking to be placed in place on Rice Lane already, or no? There was kind of a gravelly looking new road, is that?
That's for the other Battle Creek project.
So where in proximity to that is the new road that will be going in for this one?
Well, the existing, the clearing area you're talking about is kind of over here. It'll be down Rice Lane, and I don't know how many feet that is, but it's a pretty significant distance.
So there's an entryway right on this side of the rail tracks.
We'll be creating a new entrance.
In
Yep,
addition to the one that's right on the other side, which was the bump out.
that's right.
So you have a right of way there now, right?
Yes,
So that will be used to maintain the solar panels in the future, or?
that road will be dedicated or that access drive will be specific to the Battle Creek. This new road will be specific to the Warner Solar project.
And the one that's a little further down.
Yeah, there's two
Next to
there.
bump. What is that clearing on the left-hand side?
That's the interconnection path.
Okay, so that's where there's going to be a tower of some kind?
There, it'll be a metering cabinet and a recloser cabinet, and the pad will be about 6 feet by 10 feet,
That you'll have to have
and
access
the
to.
equipment cabinets are about 4 feet tall.
So there's three things that are happening right on that side of Rice Lane, correct?
What do you mean
There's,
three things?
you're
There
gonna,
will be three.
There will be three. I mean, you're going to have an access to these panels from the bump house, and there's going to be an access if this happens on here, and then you're going to have a pad here.
No, there's not going to be any pads here.
Where-
There's an equipment.
Okay.
We're here to talk specifically about the Warner project, so I don't want to get into other details of other projects right now. So
So how close is the new road going into the Crozick property?
to which property?
Crozick property?
Crozick's on the north, I believe. I don't know the answer to that.
You're not on
No.
Okay. Well, I don't know the answer to that.
So just so I can be real clear, this left-hand turn right down here, and we were talking about this pole, one of these poles here. How far down past this pole does it turn left and go behind the public house? We talked a little bit about that a minute ago.
Yeah,
didn't
if
get
I
a-
could, Chris, I could maybe
Yeah.
use this plan. But one of the things I want to point out to you is,
Could I ask though why we've got different
Can-
plans we're
because
looking at?
I'm the wetland scientist. This is the kind of things I use for my base mapping. Here's like a resource map.
Okay.
And so it's not something that was distributed, but sometimes it's helpful.
Is that filed though?
I don't think this is part of your report, right?
No, it's not part of my report.
No, so no.
I'm just using it for like a location. So to sort of orient where we are currently. Okay, down through here, you see the power line corridor. That's through here.
Right.
This is the railroad line,
Right.
the corridor. Okay, this is that other project. You see the equipment operating down here now.
Right.
You asked some questions about access. There's a construction access. An easement was gained from the property owner there. It runs on the westerly side of the railroad. And there's also a little area there where there's going to be a sector cabinet and where there's going to be, I presume, still the directional drilling under the wetland will occur there. And I'm not up into the details, but a different project. What we're talking about is this project.
Right.
This project, basically, we're talking about the solar panels will be placed here,
Right.
and there will be an access road from Rice Lane that will be constructed here.
Right.
Currently, we are right here
Yes.
at the parking lot, and so, you know, Ecos Energy owns this piece, but it's not involved in the Warner project. Only this access drive and this field here, or the second growth now, will contain the solar panels. So if you think about where we are and look at where the railroad is, you know, that beginning of the project is roughly a third to halfway down, which I said it was where you see that outcrop. And so you go down, see that outcrop, and then turn to the left into the woods there, and that's where the project will be located.
So how far would you think it is from this point to this point?
The
Just-
width of my thumb is about 800 feet.
So
That's
you're
1 inch
eight-
equals to that 800 feet.
So you're
yeah.
800 feet from here.
Yep.
Okay.
To start the first,
Just the beginning of where
Right.
and that's to where the buffer will be. There's a 100-foot buffer that's proposed on the project site between the property line and the first solar panel. So it's probably about 900 feet down from here.
And this buffer is completely wooded?
Yes.
Is it an existing buffer?
Yes, it is.
It is.
It's all treed now. It's all wooded.
Okay. And like this here, like these trees, so they're regular tall trees like this?
For most of it, I mean, some of it is, if I can take you back in time a little bit, this is an aerial photograph of the site in 1993. This public house project is this. They had this entire area cleared at the time. It looks like this, some kind of agricultural use, perhaps small trees or something. You guys may know better than I do about what this use was. But you see, even then, there were scattered trees here, 25 years or so, and all these things have grown back. This was an old pasture that's grown back and basically has gone fallow for 25 years. And so we have your early successional growth and some deciduous trees throughout, as well as some evergreens. So,
Okay.
that make it a little better?
Yes,
Yeah, yes.
that's much clearer. Thank you very much.
Now in that buffer strip, are you planning on any tree cutting in there, thinning, doing anything in there?
Yeah,
Go ahead.
it's
No.
part of the agreement with the stipulation that we reached with the town of Bennington as part of the first project.
Could
Battle
you
Creek.
So this
speak up?
that doesn't get touched at all.
Excuse me?
I
So
didn't-
when you're talking, could you speak up, please?
I didn't hear what you were just talking about the town.
Oh, so he was asking about what we're planning on doing with respect to the 100-foot buffer, whether we're going to be doing anything in there. And I said, as part of the agreement with the town, we're not touching it.
But what we don't know is whether or not there's enough in this buffer to shield this solar array. Even though there's a buffer there, I think you're going to see it. I think that there's not enough trees in there. And we'll go look at that from the public house.
so how many acres?
8.65 is what we're proposing to clear.
And how many of that is panels?
The majority of it. There will be a fenced perimeter, and there will be a little bit of a buffer between the actual array.
And there, by buffer, you mean a cleared area?
Yes.
So would I be able to ask if, respectfully, if we could have another site visit in the fall when the leaves are off the trees so we really know what the visual impact will be? We are so dense with the foliage right now, after all these rains and about to have more, that, you know, my concern is it may look fine today, but it may not when the leaves are off the tree.
Well, I'm not going to rule that out.
Okay.
And at an appropriate time,
Okay.
parties will be able to ask.
And when would that be appropriate? I want to respectfully do what you...
Well, I think it'll be a question, first of all, it'll be a party question primarily, if you're a
Okay.
party.
Okay.
And what'll be appropriate might depend upon what some expert says. For instance, if we have an expert that says that whole area is going to remain with leaves on it into December, then maybe a November visit wouldn't make sense.
Are you a Vermonter? No. I'm only kidding.
Yeah, I am a Vermonter
kidding,
now,
no.
but more importantly, anything that happened before global climate change is not anything but a history. We still had snow on our land
I understand.
less than a month ago.
I know.
Isn't it awful?
I
Really?
was-
Yeah.
Crazy.
I was driving to Montpelier this year, so I get it. The other request, if it is to be ever considered, the possible visit in October, I would like to also request that the developer would use some kind of a balloon situation to really show where the border and the impact would
All of
be.
that can be submitted as a request.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
nothing,
you.
I mean, let me just say this. You can ask for anything.
Right, doesn't mean you're gonna get it.
That's right.
And I
But
get that.
but you shouldn't not ask
Right.
if you want it, and then
As long as we know the right time and
Right.
to
And that's
ask,
why I
that's-
respectfully ask.
okay. Is there anything more that anybody needs to see from here? Should we go to a different vantage point? Anything else that you guys want us to see or know about from this vantage point?
I don't think so.
And as far as other vantage points, I don't really know of any.
We would like you to see from the restaurant their deck. It's important for
Great.
you to see
Yeah.
that.
That's fine.
So,
That's
just, I only asked about whether we could come up here,
right.
so, I'm sure they'll allow it, but no one's asked.
Yeah, we might want to go ask them.
We asked.
Oh, no,
Yeah.
they asked.
talked
Yeah.
about
Oh, you did? Okay.
They
All
very
right. Well,
much
then that's
asked-
fine.
They
They're
very
actually
much
waiting.
want folks
Yeah,
to
and
come.
we can go in and
before
meet
5
also.
o'clock when their restaurant.
Yeah, they did ask that we be off their property at 5,
Okay.
which is when the dinner.
Are they going to have hors d'oeuvres first?
Well,
They said we could sit down and have a drink if we wanted.
free beer. Take it you're a Forester. By the hat.
No,
By the hat.
it's a hat that I think somebody gave me, but
Oh.
I do spend a lot of time in these regions. I'm the wetland consultant.
Oh, okay.
Natural resources.
Yeah.
I remember you from the site visit we had on the earlier project. That we kept buzzing it out as the power company. For the first phase.
Oh, he showed up.
Oh, you know that.
Yeah. I would have, but I felt like people were asking good questions.
There's storms coming.
Oh, yes. Well,
No, I can't remember. It rained so much and it just always seems. Oh, okay. Oh, yes. Yes, that's right. Hang
so this is Route 7? Yes.
Oh, yes.
12 guys in the back of the choir.
That's exactly, and I've always been really good at the back row ever since I was a small kid.
I was always embarrassed because the girls grew earlier. They were in the back. Taller, early sprouter guys were I'd be in the front. Embarrassing.
Well, you're not on the short side either.
No, but
Well, you gotta be
in
like
fourth
6'1".
grade,
Yeah.
fourth grade, I.
caught up.
That can fall apart. Always took on him.
I was just saying this is a new deck that they just put on in the last one.
You want to come forward and help us now?
Yeah, so
Big feet out of
Jim McClammer
So you're walking
is
back
showing
to
you a map of the area of the public house property that was cleared back in 1993. The beginning of our property line starts, you see the tallest tree out there?
Yeah.
That is the edge of our property line, and that's where the edge of the 100-foot buffer begins.
I see. So for instance, that big tree will remain.
Yes,
Yeah.
That's the front edge, and then it goes 100 feet back from
that's
that tree.
correct. Yes. So the,
So is that, given that this was cleared, so that older growth?
yes. Yeah, and Jim, do you know how much older that growth is?
Well, I look at it here, and they say this is the property of the public house, where it was like, this is all field, looks like some kind of road crop, or maybe even small trees or something were planted
Do you
here.
want to wait until the other person gets here?
Oh, yeah. This is
Why don't you come forward so
Yeah, come
Take-
right
take-
up.
Steve actually apologized that he could not be here today, but obviously his concern is with
Okay.
where the border will come up to their property. And you will have Kevin or Kathy's going to talk about what the impact of the visual of this view would be if,
Not here, she's not going to talk
okay.
about that.
7
I
o'clock.
mean, we'll,
7.
yeah, come to the public hearing, or somebody
Okay.
can come and talk about that. But will you just once again
Sure.
explain where the,
Mary, what we're just discussing here is that this land here that you see was cleared by the public house back in the 93, or whoever owned it. I don't know if the public house is here. This vegetation you're seeing is much newer. Our property line starts right here, which is where the existing vegetation was. So if you see that tallest tree out there, that's the beginning of our property line. And from that point, 100 feet in is going to be maintained as a permanent buffer. So our aesthetics expert has determined that there will be no impact of the viewpoints from this porch.
I don't want to hear that either.
Okay.
He'll have his chance to say that. All right, so, and this is the area, this buffer is the area where you said, Mr. Malone said, there's going to be nothing done in that area at all. You're not going to maintain it. You're not going to thin it. Nothing. It's just going to stay whatever it is right now.
Correct.
Okay. All right. And which way will the panels be tilted on this side?
This is south, so they'll be oriented. They'll be tilted at a 25-degree angle facing due south.
So if you were standing here and if you were looking and could see it, if there was nothing in the way, you'd be looking at the sides of the panels, neither the back nor the front.
How tall are these panels going to be? What's the maximum height?
From the ground to the top edge is roughly 8 feet.
8 feet. That's going to be the maximum.
And it
height.
could vary a little bit because if there's undulations in the topography, the
Right.
clearance from the drip edge, which is the lower edge, can vary, but
So it
typically
could go to 9 feet.
8 to 9 feet.
Okay. All right, and looking right to left now, where will it start on the right? Is there some kind of tree or something in that ridge that will give us an idea?
Well, you can see that if you look right through here, you can see the transmission line corridor that you can actually see the transmission line. So it'll be slightly south of that tallest tree.
To the left, where will it
That is difficult to tell from this picture.
go? Well, do you think it would be, look at that cleared area on the hillside, way over there, that white cars driving now. Will it be left of that? Or might be left of that, or not?
Yeah, it will be slightly left of that. It narrows down here.
Right.
So the property line is actually running it's not running exactly perpendicular to where we're standing. But I would say down in that general area, yeah.
Okay.
It's actually running at us. Is that right? So if we're here, you're starting at your.
It is, but we're kind of angled here, I think.
So what is this distance here?
Of the property, I know the whole property is 27.1 acres. I don't know the property boundary.
You don't know that boundary?
No, I can get that information.
That would
We
be-
have
Look at
a
and get a
survey.
guesstimate from this.
The monument review here.
Closing
This
that
plan-
college up there.
1 inch equals 288
Are they going to
feet.
do something with
So
the
you're
land?
talking
I
about
went
the
up there and
development.
looked at that. It's a beautiful college. I wish
It
I'd gone
always-
there.
It always has been.
3.5 times 300.
They're right now trying to sell it, and hopefully
Maybe 1,000 feet.
intact is whole. But it's
Which is not.
a very tough time.
Yeah, it would be a great corporate headquarters.
Yes.
Wouldn't it? You know, a nice big company that needs lots of big rooms, right?
The sun is.
It's beautiful.
Now,
Somewhat close.
from
Education
here,
system.
where we stand, look at this picture.
So basically, it's all about the spring.
So we are here, right?
That's right.
And there's a lot of stuff down there.
Yep.
Is there, if those trees were not in the way, would you see all that stuff in here? Are those trees screening all that?
I can't answer that question.
I've been all over that because I mapped the wetlands on that parcel as well, and there's a lot of wetland down here. There's trees and there's forest that will never be touched. Basically, it's not part of the first phase or this phase. So it's pretty
Yeah,
much-
You're talking about these trees here, correct? Along this line?
yeah, I think he's talking about the ones in here.
Yeah, I was just wondering if there's anything that's going to change that as a result of this project that would create views of that, even if the project itself were visible.
Then because these trees here, along this whole side here, are sparse now. If you go down to this side and look up, you'll see where these trees that border that, which were left, are sparse. So
There's also a knoll here.
there's a big knoll there.
big
That's
knoll.
right.
Topography that's right in front of those buildings.
That's right.
You're gonna see, you really would see the other side of the street.
If you were down there,
I see.
what we're talking about.
So there's like a bluff.
Right at them.
Yeah, that's a question we could ask
But
our
her up-
aesthetics expert.
Right. But our elevation is a lot higher here.
Correct.
Absolutely.
So we'll look down.
Is there anything more that anybody wants us to see from this?
Well, then you got the view of the monument. That's going to be, that's going to be hard for us having the solar panels there. That's going to deflect from that.
I'm sorry. We're looking at the solar panels there. I guess I'm not understanding how that comes in.
Well, the panels are over there.
So,
Yeah.
so one of the largest attractions in Bennington is that monument. And those windows that you can see about 2/3 of the way up, they go all around. And you can see 3 states from up there. And this is one of the most...
So is that a place we need to go and look
I
at?
would think it might be worthwhile. And I know that the golf course, you see the golf course right there below the monument, you can see the sand traps. I know that they have been involved, but I don't see Maru or any of the other representatives here today.
They've
This is an incredibly busy time of year for business after a sleepy winter.
Well,
We're all kind of going
My only
crazy.
question is do we need to see from there, and is there any way that if we look from there, we'll be able to see where the panels are going to be?
Absolutely.
Yeah, but you can also see everything else
You
around
can
in the
see
state.
You
I
can
understand,
see,
but I'm just trying to understand, is there any point in going there?
I think I have a photograph.
I'm
Because
not
my
sure it's
house is
open.
right there, so I was up there and I took a picture. If that would help.
Well, let's take a look at it.
Those pictures of what you're asking, we can get those to everybody.
Well, and while she's looking at that, since we've got at least 2 aesthetics people here, I really expect very high quality simulations. I need to see what it is you say I'm going to see when the panels are in place. Not an arrow that tells me they're going to be at this spot. I need to see what I'm going to see so that I can evaluate any allegations that are going to be made about affecting the view.
I'm here to review what has been submitted already. So I'm not technically going to be making any
I'm not trying to give you a job. I'm just saying
simulations. If that is something that the state asks for me to do later on, then I will. But at this point in time, I'm really only evaluating what's been done already.
It's just that before I got this job, I did a large solar project case in Maryland, and simulations are extremely important
Of course.
to understand what people were saying, because right now, like you said, it's full of leaves. So it's hard to picture. And if something's going to be visible when there aren't leaves, I need to see a simulation of what that's going to look like.
And given the slant of the undulation of the land, is what's going to be in place enough to screen it?
Well, and that, all those are things that a good, well-documented simulation that follows an accepted methodology for doing those kinds of views, what kind of cameras were used, what kind of day, what kind of year, all of that stuff. And so I'll be looking for that so that I can evaluate what different people, it seems clear there are going to be differences of opinion on this subject. So.
Thank you for being so detail-oriented. Greatly appreciate that.
I'm afraid I didn't find a photograph.
Okay, well that's all right. So my question is, should we now go up to Mount Anthony or to the monument and look back this way?
The monument,
That would be a good idea.
closes at 5, so we probably would not be able to get
We could
to
maybe call them and ask them to wait.
We're not going to be there until 5:30. That's a lot of waiting.
I'll give them a call.
I mean, we could get photos from there that could be helpful if it's a good camera and they're good, the lens is able to capture enough light at a distance.
That we can do.
And coming from the country club, would that be helpful as well?
We'll get you those too. We'll get them for everybody.
But do they want to see it right now from
Right.
the country club?
Oh,
Well-
that we can do.
Yeah, they.
It's
Well,
pretty
I don't
much
mind.
the same view.
I like that country club, so I don't mind going up
Yeah,
there.
and she's.
I don't have my clubs
She's a
with me.
part of it, isn't she?
They rent them.
Huh?
They rent them.
Yeah, but I don't think I can play in these shoes.
They rent those too.
After 5, you can plan anything.
Oh, okay. Well, unless somebody has some objection, why don't we go up and take a look from there? And that'll give us some idea of what we might see if we were higher up and in the tower as well.
The view shed does show visibility from the base of the tower as well. So we should be able to pick it out.
Okay. All right.
You want to try to go up in the monument?
Do you think you'll be able to show us when we're up there? That's where the panels are going to be?
Yeah, hopefully. I mean, I haven't been up there before.
Find the transmission line.
Yeah.
All right, so let's go. Who's going to lead the way? I don't know the area.
To the monument?
No, to the golf course.
It's called the Mount Anthony Country Club. Do you have a smartphone?
You're the red pickup truck.
Oh, yeah.
That was him.
No, that's somebody else's in the back.
Okay, so who's going to lead?
The red pickup truck again. Guess I'll go with you. Is that okay?
Sounds good to me.
Are we going to keep you out too late? No, I don't want you to be out after. Oh, okay. Do you have anything you'd like to?
And actually just as much fun. Jim's move is committing to things and then not showing up and making sure you schedule them around him.
Much more likely to happen up there.
Is that where we should be going? Over there?
You know, is that Equinox?
Oh,
You?
What is it?
Is that Equinox? Higher peak? Yeah.
were you able to see what you wanted to
That's
see?
been my guess.
We thought we were waiting for
Because he was going to go over St. Teresa.
Let me
Right
pick it up
there.
and drop it again. Yeah.
There you go.
Which way do
Yeah,
you want to
dropped
go?
it down a
Down the
pant
hill a
leg
little bit?
again, huh? Yeah. I know that old trick. Donald Trump trick.
Oh,
That's what he
come
does.
on, you wouldn't accuse him of lying or cheating.
No, he would never do that. Imagine if he was our hearing officer. It would be the best hearing possible.
Greatest.
Honest. Talking about President Trump. If he were to replace you, Mr. Chairman,
Well,
we'd be assured of a balanced, neutral
one
hearing
thing you'd be
process.
assured of is that he wouldn't say, yes, it's a golf course involved.
Oh, that's true. That's right.
But this is not
If
the
it was
greatest.
Trump links, it wouldn't.
I see what I'm there some way to get up.
They are, and if they don't, I guess they're getting it, and if not, I can stay here and I'll go up. I've seen you.
Okay. Well, yeah, does somebody know, as I said, I think it's the tee box at number 3, but I don't know where it is.
Bringing up the cart.
Definitely.
I have no idea.
Phone's in my
Oh
hand,
God, are you kidding me?
So have you guys picked out a great place
take
to
the
eat in
cart with-
Bennington?
Well, I was saying it seems like a tour of great dinner spots so far.
Not a good,
You're going to have problems if you've got a session starting in 55 minutes. I think your great dinner spot is McDonald's.
Yeah, at 7 or at 7 whenever the public hearing's over.
Well, but if you have to be for the information session at 6.
Right, I'd probably get dinner after.
Would anybody be allowed to drive?
I'd be willing but not able. I'm not that familiar with the golf
Rick
course.
would know.
I mean, I imagine it's like driving a car, but
Yeah, and I'm not.
And I'm
Yeah.
sorry about all this.
I'm not a good.
Like driving an electric car, right?
If you all want to be walking towards it, we'll catch up.
Okay.
Oh, that's
Because I don't
probably a
want
good
I don't
idea.
want to hold you long.
I don't either, but I'm guessing it's
just like walking.
I don't want to get hit in the head with a ball.
To him, want to bring the ball?
It's a good ball. It's Titleist.
Box your balls.
We should drop them over their head. They'll think we're shooting at them.
Walking around in the rain. This is a beautiful property.
It's just summer snow peaks.
Look at this. sounds like a stinky one. That's not electric. Is that electric?
Yeah.
Sounds like gas, yeah.
I walked that whole power line today.
You did.
Yeah, boy.
That protects.
Good shot, that first.
The big issue was aesthetics there.
Yeah, 368 acres of solar panels. In the middle of a area that has been zoned for agriculture. And farming is their signature.
Bread and butter.
Chickens. Your bread and butter. Out there.
Is this a safe zone on the golf course?
No place.
Not if I was playing.
I think we should go up there.
No, right? They're just coming down now. Carts, sorry people.
I'm leading. You're trying to get the height here. So you see something, right?
What? Going up to the
On the prominence over there.
Yeah, I think it's that rise to our right.
Oh, okay. Makes sense. Oh, perfect. That'd be perfect for a wedding.
Watch your
This
step
road,
here.
We started construction on Apple Hill.
Chris, have we?
No. Well, we've started some work. It hasn't fully started yet. We have done some work though.
That must be the Eastern Shore too, huh?
Yeah, Kent County is north, right on the bay, at least one side of it. And Maryland has these national, statewide designated areas for historic.
They're historic. It's quite a process, yes.
Yeah, and they're big. And this project is in the middle of the, forget, Chesapeake something historic area.
Yep. Oh yeah, I'll see top of
it. Mr. Malone, are you a golfer?
I'm not.
You can't be and live in New York City, right?
Oh, they got some great courses.
Trump
Oh,
Links
yeah,
is right there.
But who has $500
Right in the
to
swamp.
rent to pay and 6 hours to wait?
My wife and I jumped ship out of New York a couple years ago. We have a baby, so we moved to the burbs.
Where do you live now?
In northern New Jersey, a town called Pocahontas.
I drove for 3 hours today. This feels great.
Tom?
Yeah, by the roaches. Who come from New Jersey.
I was in town hall the other day, and
It must have been through some rain over there.
it's one of the only towns around with 2 houses.
It's a pretty wild
They
thing.
voted on it.
When I see it,
Really? What were we gonna do? Just get rid of the apostrophes?
Yeah.
Oh, they bring food to you.
Can you tell?
No, I have no idea which way we're.
All right, well, there's Route 7 going north.
There's 7A.
And that's old
So
7A.
it's got to be.
Can we see
Close.
the public
We're close.
house?
Got to be.
I
the public
thought I
house.
saw it earlier.
It's that right
there,
there.
Where?
Right here. See, it's got the chimney.
Follow 7A to the top.
Yep,
Yep.
that's right.
Oh, I see, all the way up at the top.
I just thought that was the public house road, the public house.
So it's to the left.
To the left of that, and that's the slope that's going down towards where the other project is located.
That's right.
All right. You're familiar, the two of you somewhat. Can you just tell me, standing here, looking to the left, can you see where the public house is now?
Yeah, I believe the public house is just, what I'm looking at
Yeah.
straight north is the 7A.
That's right,
And near
just
the-
slightly to
just
the
below
left.
the trees that are on the horizon.
Exactly.
Is the public house.
All right, so this project is to the left of that as that starts sloping down.
Exactly, it's a southwest facing slope,
Okay.
and it's all trees.
All right, so my question is, on the south side of the project, how much of the trees that we now see are going to be gone? What's the size of the buffer?
Well, between
Hard to describe it on the scale of the big, but on the south side, that site really narrows down.
So
what we're looking
so
at basically
we're looking
the public house is kind of there.
Right. Okay.
And
So
and this is a side hill that goes down and then it kind of rises up. And I can't even really pick out that swale. I can only guess where it is in the middle of the trees. I mean, where the railroad goes, somewhere near to it. I can't see that corridor.
right.
But you got just, what's the width there? Maybe 300 feet or something.
All right. So and the clearing that's going to happen at this end, is there? I can't tell. Is there an intended buffer?
Yes.
Yeah, there is a 25-foot no-cut zone.
which is between the two red lines. Is that right?
Would it help, if this is a picture of what we're looking at, would it help for you to point to stuff rather than trying to describe that reddish tree?
Done the same thing on here. It's just, it
It's the
helps.
same
I
You
mean,
know where
it's
we
so
are, but-
difficult to tell. We're so far away from the site.
Yeah.
So the panels will be oriented so that the glass faces are facing this way, correct? More
Right,
or
it'll be
less.
facing to the south.
correct?
Yeah,
Yeah,
the
that's
south
almost
is
due north.
that way.
But this buffer's 10 feet.
where that buffer, that 100-foot buffer is going to
That's
sit.
25 foot,
Public
yeah.
house land.
And 100 foot along the
Trees just
east
start
side.
getting bigger there.
Right.
But what I'm,
I mean, I feel
This is 100.
North, south, or 25?
that's what you can kind
Oh,
of
you were
pick it
doing
out.
this.
I'm looking at the south side. So this is
But
25.
Just
you said?
getting using it.
From here,
Do you want
the
to?
site's
No, no,
roughly
no,
due
I-
north.
I don't have to.
So if they're facing exactly south, they'd be facing.
Yeah.
The super zoom is good.
Where?
They'd be facing this way.
I mean, I fail to see how it would have any, even if
I want you- Don't tell me
You're
that.
talking about the ice cream stand up there.
Yeah, right.
With that big,
Okay, so
like little pump you see there.
I was trying to see where is the thing on my map. There's supposed to be a thing that shows you what direction.
There you go. That's what you want to see.
Right.
Due north. It's roughly where the site is.
Little, right, okay.
Yeah, just to the left of the.
But you've tried to orient the panels so they face due south.
Due south, correct.
Not slightly off one way or the other. Right. I mean, to the extent you can with the land.
Oh, okay.
So Rice Lane is probably on the top of that, just below the knoll, the top of it. And then you got a forested area, and then down in the valley below that is where those panels will be.
Right.
And it'll be in that kind of treed area. And it's hard to describe it from here.
This other project we were looking at, is that all cleared?
Oh, not all clear. I mean, a good part of it is wetland.
Yeah, yeah, we could see some of it was clear. So if you look at the public house, there's what looks like a lawn. I assume it's probably a lot rougher than that. Yeah.
sorry.
No, that was smart. Good thinking. So you see there's sort of a grassy area
Yeah.
that looks a slightly different
Grassy
color, green. how far from the public house down that grassy area would the panels be sticking in this direction? Or is it not as far as that area, or do you not know?
Does this help you a little bit? I think the public house is there. You see the grass area there? There's the parcel that's going to have the solar panel.
I see.
Not
So
bad, not bad.
it's a little past. He's asking where that runs. Yeah, it's a little past that comes into some of those trees that we see here, but it's probably further to the left.
Yeah, it's, you know, I don't want to lead it back here, but it's amongst those trees.
Yeah,
Look,
obviously
right.
here you
If
can
you look
see
at
the
the public house and come down the hill, and you can see looks like a rooftop in the trees. Is that this house right here?
What?
Farm?
Like there's actually this street covered?
It's the first thing down from the public
I
house.
would guess it's this one. Is that? Yeah, that's the one you're pointing to. But
Yeah,
it's only be
That's
guessing.
near the bottom.
That's near the bottom of where the
All of it.
where the solar panel would be.
That's the
Yeah.
senior citizen.
Yeah, I think it's
Oh,
worth
is that what it
mentioning
is?
I think so.
that we're finished clearing for the Battle Creek site, and you cannot see that clearing from here.
Oh, you are finished with it?
Yes.
Oh, okay. That's what I meant.
Yeah. So
Oh,
I think
sorry.
that's
I know you didn't
worth
clear the whole
noting.
thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they're, you know, I don't know, Jim, is
What it is.
topography relatively uniform across both sites?
Well, the site we're talking about now, the Warner site, it slopes more south and west, and where the topography faces a little bit more southerly and maybe a little southeasterly on the first phase.
Because,
there
because,
anything that
because, your,
guides
because your elevation raises from here to here. That's what you said.
The height of land, I mean, it falls off this way, and then it kind of
Right.
creeps up again where you know there's that berm there.
There's really a big sharp berm
Yeah.
right here. Right, exactly.
Because you're higher. But
And this is the 900. This is where we talked about earlier was 900 and change.
Yeah.
This run right here.
And that's what I'm saying, 1 inch equals what, 700?
they look like cypresses. Yeah.
This is a good spot.
Those trees look like cypress trees. The darker ones that are kind
Build a
of.
whole-
You see the orange roof that's next to the
Oh, take a peek.
US flag?
No, I
There's
rely on
orange
his
roof. Behind the
expertise.
orange roof to the left is a
So there's
row
still,
of
if that does happen, I mean, this isn't all clear down here.
No, this is all wetland. It was
I
cleared
mean,
up in here,
Right.
and a little bit up in
That's
here.
that's way outbound.
And how many acres is this?
I think those trees
I don't know the answer to that. How many acres is the first phase?
side of
It's
that
on the
clear
other
up
side
that
of the
whole
line.
Battle Creek?
I think if
can't
you
remember.
actually look this way, the
It's around the same.
It's similar, yeah.
So the wetlands are forested wetlands, or is it a mix? Or?
It's mostly forested.
And they're going to remain forested, and the trees aren't going to be cut off the wetlands?
Oh, you can't cut the trees in the wetland or the buffer. It's all
Okay.
class 2 wetland.
Okay.
Right.
And all the, you know.
So that's the plan.
You
not
probably
to cut
hit
the
it
Oh,
trees
that's,
off.
yeah, that's the,
Okay.
The thing that
and there are no basically wetlands on this parcel, this project. There were some on the previous
Well, I
one,
was
just to make
wondering
sure
if
it's
it would
clear.
affect the sun getting to the solar panels, and if there would be cutting as a result.
No, they're not even
Okay.
doing that.
Okay.
views all
Okay. All right, does anybody have anything else to see here? Because I think finally, nature has decided that we've been outside
Look
enough.
how long it's been dry.
Is there anything else that you?
No.
A day or so.
Okay.
So we were
All right.
informed that, Mr. Chairman, that the wetlands are predominantly forested, and there'll be
On-
no cutting of the trees in the forested wetland.
And I'm talking about, that was on the previous project, right?
Right, but
And on this site, there are no class 2 wetlands, there are
Okay.
no buffers, it's all upland area.
Okay.
All right, good. Okay, so everybody knows we've got the public hearing. Mr. Malone, what's the address?
It's the Bennington Free Public Library.
Okay, Bennington Free Private. There'll be an information session where you can ask more questions of Mr. Malone and his people at 6, and when that's over, or 7 o'clock, whichever comes first, we'll have the public hearing, and I'll stay as long as you need.
Okay. Thank you very
And
much.
then you can give me all your opinions. And they'll be recorded.
And food.
food.
Thank you.
First time I
Thanks
heard
for
that.
taking
Do you
the-
want
Bring in food.
I would encourage you to maybe take the path back instead of
Yeah.
walking.
all over the golf course while people are playing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, the golfers might be hurrying now.
Yeah. I don't see any thunder clouds yet.
Anything about like wildlife.
It's still nothing like what the weather report said.
Yeah.
It was supposed to rain all
We
day.
lucked
today.
out.
I
Well,
work,
the weather
I work
report
at the
said-
library actually. I saw you guys come in earlier. And I was out there gardening like crazy, trying to get everything done before our court. Luckily, I was able to get most of it done.
I know, and it's largely.
So is there really a cat in the library?
There is. Yeah, keep the cat.
I was telling Mike he's not familiar with the book series. I am. I read them to my kids and they love them. And I can't figure out why.
That's what he was named for. We're getting him a companion so that he's not lonely. No. He's got much too well lately.
Mostly, it seems like my issues are resolved. You know, the agencies, and they're happy to say, oh, yeah, I didn't get it. That's what it says. We don't even need to see the sign.
Hi. This is Mark and this is John. That's Steve. My name's John as well. Hello. Welcome. Hello. The presentation will start in about 5 minutes. Just keep yourself tight, have a drink.
My girl just went by.
No pictures, please.
Too late.
And so what? What's the option of the drink?
I'm glad you have that guy turn the camera on, play you for 100 for next
Yeah, right.
It was very surprising to discover how, as a jury, you wanted information, but you couldn't have it.
Yeah.
Many, many times you could not have it. Like, they wouldn't give
Use
us
us.
facts. Neither side would provide comps for what houses in the area with beaches were going for